So good evening to everyone. We have the pleasure this evening to hear a report from the field from Rabbi Aharon Herskovitz. I got your name right this time. Rabbi Aharon is a friend who, in a normal life, is not going to be wearing a bulletproof vest and wouldn't be with a gun on and in a dark place because of no lights. He is both a rabbi and a clinical psychologist in normal life. But obviously, since that fatal day on October 7th, he was drafted into the army and has been there since. And amongst the many things he's been doing is sharing via Facebook his experiences there, also trying to give various tips as a psychologist to us here. And I think that both will come together tonight as we hear from you, Rabbi Aharon, about what you're going through, where you might be. Can you tell us where you are?
I'm in the north.
Okay, that's good
Thank
enough.
God. Sort of yeah, we're right now in, I guess, more of a second line of defense to make sure to protect the areas that are here. But yeah, we're told to not be too specific.
That's good. So without
So
further
we're here for
ado,
now, and just yeah. Thank you very much, Bernstein, for having me. It's always a pleasure to see you. It's nice to know that that the videos have been making the rounds. Um, as you mentioned, so I'm a community rev in Netanya. It's nice to see also a couple of the members of the community here tonight. And I think also that it's not just about giving chizuk, but also for me on a personal level, receiving chizuk, because very much feel that there's this connection between the front and the home command in terms of this mutual support that we really feel. And that's a little bit what I wanted to speak about tonight. Um, I don't really like speaking in cliches, but the problem with them is that often they're very genuine and reflect reality. And I think one of the strongest ones that I see is in terms of the fact that people talk about going to Miluim and really meeting all of Am Yisrael. And that's something that feel really strongly here, that in tank unit is not very large. It's 40, 50, 60 people at most. But really, we have the entire cross section of Israeli society. In terms of ages, we have people who just got out of the army within the past year, up until those who are volunteering into their 40s. People who are single, dating, married, kids, one kid, two kids, six kids. In terms of where people are from geographically, people who are olim from many different countries, but also in terms of where people live. We have someone from Eilat, and another fellow whose family lives on the border here in Dovev, one of the communities that was evacuated. And really also cross section religiously. People who are more secular, more religious, and everything in between. And it's really an opportunity to reconnect with people that some of them I've just met now, and some of them have been with for the last 20 years. And seeing people from all different walks of life. And I think that's not just a coincidence, but at the end of the day is really what our strength is. That I was learning earlier today the story in Sefer Shoftim, wherein Yiftach is appointed leader and helps save Am Yisrael from Bnei Ammon. And then afterwards, in Sefer Shoftim, we have a story where the people of Ephraim come to him and complain. They say, "Why didn't you call us?" Right? We also wanted to help out. We wanted to fight against Bnei Ammon, and they start to threaten Yiftach with what they're going to do to him as a result of being left out. And Yiftach, as opposed to perhaps what other leaders would have done, does not try and calm things down and appease them, but rather he responds very strongly, very violently. And in the end, it leads to this tragic civil war between Ephraim and other Shvatim, and many lives are lost. And Chazal and other Mefarshim try to understand what exactly was going on. What lesson can we take away from this story? And there's a long description in Tana Devei Eliyahu that talks about not just this story of Yiftach with Bnei Ephraim, but other stories that appear in Sefer Shoftim where there's tension within Am Yisrael. And I wanted to share two of the themes that come up of what is it that Chazal point out about this story and similar stories, lessons that we're supposed to be able to take away from them. One of the themes has to do with unity, and the other one has to do with Derech Eretz. With regards to unity, Chazal give a mashal of Am Yisrael. They say that we are basically a ship at sea. Sometimes the waters can be calmer, sometimes they can be stormy, and the ship is divided into different sections. Right? We'll say there's 12 sections. They don't say that, but let's say there's 12 sections. And the way that a ship works is that if you have one section that all of a sudden has a hole in it or is just shorn away from the ship, you don't say, okay, fine, that was section 7, but I'm in section 11, so everything here is fine, right? My section's okay. But what happens is if a section of the ship is lost, then the whole ship is now at risk. It's at risk of drowning. And they say the same is true with Am Yisrael too. That if there's something going on, it doesn't matter if we're talking, geographic location. It doesn't matter. Okay, something's happening in the south or the north, or something's happening in this group of society or that group of society. But once there's a part of us that's at risk, because of the principle of arvut, of mutual responsibility, that means not just we're responsible for others, but also things that that affect others affect the nation as a whole. And that's what they talk about. And in terms of what Am Yisrael needed to focus on, it's not just about, okay, well, what was my shevet doing, right? Were we at the front fighting the battles, leading Am Yisrael against Bnei Ammon, or were we providing different types of support? The point is what the nation is doing as a whole, and that's one strong message that comes across. That comes across from the story. I'll talk about briefly how we see that within our unit. The other message that Chazal talk about is in terms of derech eretz. In terms of, there's lots of different ways that we can interpret what that phrase means, but I'll talk about just basic interpersonal relations, acting like a mensch, as I was taught growing up, treating others with kindness, sometimes being polite, just doing what needs to be done, being a good person. And in Tana Divrei Eliyahu, it's a message that Hashem says, that he says to Am Yisrael, if you don't if you're not being ochzim b'divrei Torah, you're not grabbing onto words of the Torah, whatever exactly that means, right? Either you're not learning, maybe even you're not keeping the mitzvot, you're not doing that. But if you're ochzim b'derech eretz, if you treat each other kindly, then I will fulfill the pasuk of then as long as you treat each other kindly, I'm going to make sure that 5 of you will be able to chase away 100, and so on. In other words, that Hashem is going to protect us and create miracles for us as long as we make sure that we treat each other well. And that's something also that comes up very strongly. With regards to what we're experiencing in the unit, I'll talk first about unity. Like I said, we're different people. Everyone's in different stages in life, and we feel differently about things too, in terms of politics, in terms of religion, and we're not trying to hide those differences, right? We sometimes have a unity where we say, okay, fine, like let's forget everything that divides us. Whenever someone brings up something divisive, we'll just say, no, that's not the time for it. We're not going to talk about that. But that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we're still talking about things. We're still acting like normal people, having disagreements. We're still getting frustrated with each other, getting annoyed, right? Oh, this person did that. This person did the other thing. But it's within the context of a much larger whole. We remember and remind each other also of our unity of purpose and unity of mission that we have. That we're all a part of one group and we have one goal. Our goal here is to protect the people in the area that we're in. So it doesn't matter, right? If I think one thing about, how kashrut works and you think differently, I think one thing about the political situation and you think differently, we can argue about it, we can talk about it, but what unites us is greater than that. And I was thinking about it earlier today, that's sometimes a message that my wife Shira and I talk about with couples before they get married, that there's often this advice that people give. Don't make sure you don't go to bed angry, right? If you ever have a fight, make sure you make up before you go to sleep. And I personally don't agree with that. I mean, I think that's great. It's a good goal. It's nice to go to sleep when you're happy and not angry. But sometimes being able to continue despite difficulties is also a sign of the strength of the relationship. Because you're saying that our relationship is so strong that it can contain this tension. It can contain this difficulty. It can contain this difference. We're going to figure it out. Right, we'll figure out how we go forward, but because of the fact that we're in a relationship and we both want to be in that relationship, then that's something that can help us push forward. And that's something that we feel here, right? disagreeing. We're still making jokes about our differences. But what unites us is greater than that. That's in terms of the point of unity. And I think that that's something that I see, outside of the army as well. A couple days ago, I was in Kiryat Sanz. Sometimes I work with some members of the community there from the psychological perspective, and I was debating, should I bring my gun or not to the tefillot? I have it when I'm at home. In the end, I decided not to because of more therapeutic reasons. But then when I got to the shtibel in Kiryat Sanz, I was surprised. They were saying Avinu Malkeinu at the end of davening. There are signs all around the shul about specific people to daven for who've been taken captive, who've been injured. There are signs about mishmarot limud. They have nighttime learning shifts from midnight until sunrise because of the fact that we're in it together. We're all here together, no matter the other differences that we have. And the other point that I wanted to speak about was in terms of derech eretz, in terms of treating each other kindly and doing the right thing. I was thinking about earlier today. There's a question: why do we not make a bracha on mishloach manot or other mitzvot tzedakah, various other positive commands that we have? And one of the explanations, I think it's a Sridei Eish, that says that the reason that we don't do it for mishloach manot is because of the fact that making a bracha on such a mitzvah would undercut the whole point of the mitzvah. The point of giving mishloach manot is to increase love and care between people. So if before I go ahead and give my friend this gift, I make a bracha on it, so he's going to think, oh, I'm doing it because I have to, right? I'm obligated to do it. So we specifically do not make a bracha on it for that reason, because of the fact that we want to stress the fact that the whole point of the mitzvah is to increase love and care. And I think that that's the same in terms of acting in a way that reflects derech eretz as well. That on the one hand, acting in a way that's proper and caring for others is an expression of these lofty ideals that we read about in the Midrash. But on the other hand, it's just basic, like the aleph bet, right? It's just in terms of how you treat people. And our Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Yehuda Amital, that's one of his oft-repeated phrases was "Tiye ben Adam," be a person. Because being a person isn't something that we need to get too caught up in. Just go ahead and do what you need to do, in order to care for others, in order to have them in mind. And that's something that I see very strongly here as well. And it's expressed in little things, right? And also, once again, not as an expression of this lofty ideal, but just being a good person, caring for others. We have, for example, if we see somebody sleeping and something needs to be done, so we say it's okay, right? He's sleeping, he needs to take care of it. We'll take care of the other things. He'll make it up later. We have in our tank crew, we have one of the members is very strongly vegan, right? It's something that for him is very important. And every time there's food here, everyone says, okay, where's the vegan option, right? We need to find it and put it aside for a burger. When people come to give gifts, we always check, right? Is this vegan? Is it not? Trying to turn the army upside down to try and find him boots that aren't made out of leather, because it's not specifically a value that everyone here has, but it's something that he cares about. So we want to help him out as well. The amount of times that people have given up a mattress for somebody else here, I can't even count. We're sleeping on the floors, but thankfully we're able to have somewhat thin mattresses. And earlier today, I just I was home, so I got back here and got one. I made some comment of it's not the same one that I had when I left. And I think already 4 or 5 people came up to me and said, "Here, Aharon, just take my mattress. It's fine." I wasn't complaining. I was just had like an offhand remark. And people are just looking to give, and they don't care about, okay, well, what will I do when I give this to my friend? You need something, take it, like enjoy. I'm b'simcha. I'm happy to help you out. And I think from what I've heard from others also, it really seems that in our communities at home that people are looking out for each other. People are feeling both a sense of unity and also the really basic sense of tiye ben adam, of caring for others, of treating each other kindly. And I think that that's something that gives us so much strength here, and I hope that it gives everyone strength there as well. That was the message I wanted to share with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Rabbi Aharon, and most importantly, thank you for giving us not only a little glimpse of what you're going through in the field, how soldiers are giving up their mattresses for others, not to mention other comforts for other people, and putting aside differences that are very real in order to defend the Jewish people. But I think you said a line earlier that's, I believe, the headline, if I may, for this evening. And that is, it's okay to go to sleep mad. It's okay to go to sleep with differences, as long as you remember that you're together, as long as you remember that you're a couple. And just to share a story with everyone that gave me amazing chizuk. I don't think I have to repeat what happened on Kikar Dizengoff on Yom Kippur of this year. Not just Kikar Dizengoff, but that seemed to make the headlines. I passed by Kikar Dizengoff the other day. This is the place where a minion was attacked on Yom Kippur. The amount of boxes of undershirts, towels, and whatnot being brought there, it was just amazing to see. As I was going through, very quickly, I saw a Haredi dressed individual coming with a box. And I was very, very curious to find out how he would be treated. He couldn't have been treated more respectfully and with more thanks. So I definitely think that the differences didn't disappear, but maybe we're able to, as we said, be together even with the differences as you are in your particular unit. If anyone has any questions for Rabbi Aharon, do you still have 2 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, sure.
Anyone have any questions? This is a soldier in the field, so a glimpse to what our soldiers are going through right now. Okay, I have a question, if I may.
For sure.
You are a rabbi of a unit, if I'm correct.
I'm actually a Chayal Pashut, a
Oh, I'm
Chapash, a
sorry.
tank gunner.
Very good. So you're
It's okay.
Chayal Pashut. Are you
Often in the morning, my crew asks for a Dvar Torah, though, so we have that going too.
very nice. May I ask, are all your religious needs being taken care of by the army, from kosher food to, I don't know, a safer Torah for the unit?
Yeah, thank God. I think that there was the initial shock right after we were all called up that was reflected in all levels in terms of logistics, in terms of the halacha as well. We have a good friend of mine from yeshiva is actually in charge of the Mador Halachat in the Rabbanut Tzva'it. And it seemed like the guidelines that were put out in the first week weren't always as connected to the reality on the ground that we were experiencing then. But I just received them from this before this past Shabbat, and it made much more sense. It was a lot more connected to what was going on, and definitely we have a Rav here for our Gedud and for Chativa who are here. We're sort of out in the field in the middle of nowhere. And they were climbing all over the place, putting up an Eruv, was able to use my past Eruv experience also to give a hand when I could. And the same is true in terms of logistics, both with regards to kashrut, with regards to just getting the food. One of the people in charge of the logistics is very avowedly secular. And he said for him, it's so important that he makes sure that the kashrut's at a high standard, because he said he wants people to feel that they don't need to second guess, right? Can I eat this? Can I not? So he says, I'm very, very careful to make sure everything is good. And Baruch Hashem, that's really been the case.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Very good. And you said you're in the middle of nowhere. Is it cold?
It's getting colder. It's getting colder. In the day, it's still very warm, but at night it gets a bit chilly. We get closer to each other at night to stay warmer.
Excellent. So if no one has any other questions, allow me to wish you, Rabbi Aharon, together with everyone here and everyone that's going to watch the recording, Hatzlacha Rabbah in all your Misimot. And most importantly, we hope and pray that when the job is done, you'll come home safely and you'll come home to your warm bed and be able to still walk into the Sansa Shtibel and be respected like you were.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see everyone tomorrow night at the same time. Thank you.